Okay, we're back and we're going to make the chocolate caramels. So I've got my pot here heating up. I'm going to go ahead and put the cream in there. And the sugar. And we're just going to heat that through. You want to make sure you have a large enough pot because this will tend to foam up a lot. So you want to be real careful. Okay. Just closer. And then after that, we're going to put in the cocoa powder, the glucose, and the butter and vanilla. Everything is going to go in at that time, and then we're just going to cook it till it reaches 238 Fahrenheit. So that's, 238 is at the softball stage. It's going to be just, it'll be a little bit firmer than that with the butter in it and all. So, okay, it's just starting to simmer. And if you see, it says, to do it off of the heat, remove it from the heat. It's just because with the cocoa as well, it does tend to foam. So you want to be very careful with that. Okay, so I'm going to turn up the heat now. This particular candy is very easy to make, but one thing I want you to be aware of is that it scorches easily. So you'll be stirring it, it'll be getting close to the desired temperature, and you'll notice a little bit of smoke, and that's a bad sign. If it gets a little bit kind of like a toasted flavor to it, it's great. You go over that, and it's terrible. And I'm going to put a little pinch of salt in here. I got a little packet of it, but it really enhances the flavor a lot. So most of you probably don't have induction burners at home. In the bake shop, those induction burners are great for this because the flame doesn't come up the side of the pot and tend to pre-caramelize things that you don't want to. So, okay, I'm going to reduce the heat a little bit, and we're going to put the remaining ingredients in. I'm going to go ahead with the cocoa. Okay, I turned it all the way off. That cream was rising up. So just get that cocoa in there. Oh, and I've got my thermometer over here ready. Okay, now I got the butter. Now the vanilla, you could put that in later if you wish. With this amount of boiling, some people say that it loses its flavor. Why do we put it? We put it in baked products and bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. So I'm really not so sure about that whole thing. Vanilla itself, using fresh vanilla beans, you could caramelize it in sugar. So we're talking 320 to 340, and it doesn't affect the flavor. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put that in, and followed by the glucose. I didn't realize I had used up my 2 spatulas, so I'm going to have to just hope for the best. I'll get as much of this out as I can here. See, I got no one to do my dishes here, so I try not to waste too many dishes. But that's all right. If you've got a microwave at home and you want to use that to heat it first, you get a lot more out of the container. Okay, so I'm going to turn the heat up now. So I'm at about medium heat. And this should take about 15 minutes. So everything's in, it's starting to come up to temperature. I'm going to wait till it's been boiling for a little while before I go ahead and put the thermometer in. I prepared one of these. These are those paper baking trays, and I gave it a light spray with pan release. You could butter or oil it, whatever you want, just to make sure that they don't stick. And I have never put it in this kind of pan yet. I usually plastic wrap line a cake pan and then pour it in there. But we'll see how it works in here, and if it doesn't go well for me, I'll make sure I tell you so you don't do it. So I'm gonna move this over to the center. I've got my milk chocolate. I just had it on my pot from earlier. That's gonna go with those pumpkin truffles that we're doing, but I haven't started to melt, so I'm just gonna let that go. It's just sitting on the hot water bath off the stove. All right, you stare at this for a moment, and I'm gonna run and go grab another rubber spatula. Okay, I am back, and it's just starting to simmer. But once it gets going and you start to reduce the moisture out of this, you're going to want that rubber spatula because you want to be scraping the bottom. If you don't, it will scorch for sure. And right now I'm just making sure I get all the little bits of cocoa powder blend in. That's why I started with the whisk. Okay, so now it's boiling. So you want to watch it really carefully now. And at this point I can go ahead and put my thermometer in. And usually I'll hold the thermometer and go around. Make sure that I move all the way around to get every bit of that pot. So we're at 206 right now. Okay, turn that, maybe you can see it as well. It's 209. You really want to be careful now. I'm going to make sure I scrape the sides well. And with this, you'll get some fluctuations in the temperature. Don't be alarmed. Make sure when you hit the desired temperature that you hit it for a few seconds. If you're really quick, you might get a little spike in temperature and then it drops down on you. So remember, I want to make sure I scrape every bit of the bottom so that I have no troubles with any scorching. So at sea level, you'd be doing closer to 248. You know, it'd be firmer than the softball stage, but here at altitude, we really got to be careful. You wouldn't enjoy it as much if it's too firm. So we'll be careful. We're at 212 now. Remember that, constantly stirring it and scraping the bottom. Turn that camera around. We are having a good time here. Just kidding, it's no fun without all of you here, but yeah, I hope you're making the best of it. We are getting through. This is the last demo that I have to do for this semester. So it's going pretty rapidly now. I can see it starting to thicken up a bit. So we're going to be careful here. This is where you just want to make sure you scrape that bottom really well. It's at 213. As you get more moisture out, it becomes quicker and quicker. So 214. So it's just like most of the candy making that we've done are based on sugar syrups and cooking it to a specific temperature, which removes, you know, the desired amount of moisture, and that makes it anywhere from a really, really soft paste to a hard crack, or even caramels. So we're at 217. Fluctuates. It just showed 214, went 215, 216, 217, down to 214. So you want to be careful. Now it bumped up to 218. Okay, we're up to 220.